Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meal Spouse Conversations, our podcast, The Tea, where we bring you all types of good inspiration and empowerment. Yeah, with our diverse panel of military spouses. We love to talk. If you want to hear about it, we are ready to talk about it. But today, y'all, today is a party. We're going to have a party today. Why? Because it is my 3-year Strokeaversary. Yeah, it's my Strokeaversary. Do you know what today is? It's my Strokeaversary. Strokeaversary. Yes, y'all. 3 years ago, on this date, I had a stroke. Crazy. It's crazy, right? Because I don't fit your typical stroke victim. But we're going to talk all about it. And I'm going to share with you what happened and tell you a little bit about that rare cause that I am on a mission to bring awareness to, because, hey, could have taken me out of here. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But as we get this started, hey, Pamela, how you doing? How you doing today? But as we really get this party started, say hello to us, like, share, and click that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of the fabulous Sweet Tea. All right, but hold on, we'll be right back so I can break it down to you about what happened 3 years ago. All right, and we are back. All right, folks, you see this picture right here? This picture is of me and my husband on the day that I had my stroke. I'm trying to add myself to this so you can see me, but I guess I cannot do it because I am over here having some technical difficulties. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, nope, never mind. All right, so this picture is of me and my husband just a couple of hours before my stroke happened. We were at his farewell party, having a good time, laughing, joking, just having the time of our lives. And bam, I had a stroke. Hey, Stephanie. Stephanie is a fellow stroke warrior. How you doing? Good morning, Angela. Girl, you up? It's like, what, 9 o'clock for you? Hey, Miss Teresa. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring the conversation starters on so I'm not on this screen alone. Hey, ladies. How y'all doing? Good. All right, so y'all saw the photo of me and my husband prior, like just a couple hours prior to my stroke. Now, that day, it was a Saturday. It was a typical Saturday for me. I got up, took my middle daughter to her riding lesson that was about 3 to 4 hours long. But before I left, I did talk to 2 of the conversation starters that morning, Julie and Nishita. We talked via Voxer, right? We have our morning. Me and Julie would check in every morning. Hey, how you doing? What you doing today? That was our conversation. I left. I took my daughter to her riding lesson. Got home. I sat in the car the entire time because I don't do horses. Got home, took a shower because we were going out to my husband's farewell party. And I felt fine. I felt perfectly fine. Got to his party. Like I said earlier, we were having, laughs, had I had a beer. I only had like a quarter of a beer, actually. And I had some dinner. And that's the last thing that I remember. I don't remember anything from that. So the rest of the story that I'm about to tell you is what was told to me by my husband, as well as the other party goers. Me and my husband were not sitting at the same table. We were sitting at different tables because I was talking. And the gentleman that was sitting next to me, he said that he noticed that my speech changed. He thought I was joking at first. He told me he thought I was joking. And then he was like, no, her speech is really slurring. And my husband said he looked down at my end of the table and he noticed I had a blank stare on my face. And he thought I was upset with him for talking to one of the other ladies who was at the party, one of his coworkers. I was like, dude, I didn't even see you. Hold on, let me turn my air off real quick. Hold on. Sorry, folks. Sorry. I don't know if you can hear my fan or not. Sorry. All right, I'm back. But the gentleman next to me, he said that he got up, went and got my husband, and when my husband came down to the end of the table, and this was all within a matter of seconds, that he noticed a full left side facial droop. And he's like, he knew right away it was a stroke, and that I then eventually, or not, I don't want to say eventually, but I slumped over on the table. Luckily, I did not damage my face. The table didn't damage my face. And I'm just going to tell y'all, I do crack jokes, but it's okay because I'm laughing at myself. Not even laughing at myself, but just I think it helps me work through this process. But anywho, my husband, he said he called 911. And again, this was all within a matter of seconds or minutes. The EMTs arrived. They immediately took me to a Nova hospital, in which when I arrived, and my husband said that they told him that they were pretty certain that it was a stroke. So they gave me the clot buster, which didn't take. He was like, it didn't take. And but they had told him that if they gave me this clot buster and it was not a stroke, that there was a possibility of it killing me. But he trusted the doctors. And then from there, they transported me to a Nova Fairfax, which is a trauma 1 and a stroke comprehensive hospital. And there's only like 113 of them in the US. I arrived and I asked him, I was like, did you ride in the ambulance with me? And he was like, no. He's like, Sybil, there was no riding in the ambulance with you. But he said that he signed the paperwork and gave them permission to do what they needed to do. And so there was a scale of 1 to 5. And he said that they scored me a 4.5 of my stroke. So it was a severe stroke. And I'm going to show y'all this picture. And I actually looked at this picture and I didn't know that it was me. I saw it on Instagram. Hold on, let me see if you can. Hold on. Wrong one. Sorry. Let me find this other one. Y'all know which one I'm looking for, right? Y'all know what I'm looking for, ladies? Y'all want to talk a little bit while I look for? Oh, here we go. That picture, that is a scan of my brain. There was no blood flow. Nothing. There was nothing there. And I kept this picture and I look at it often and it literally makes me cry every time I look at it. To know that, I was at a party having the best time of my life and having no health risk Like I had no health risks, no health concerns, nothing whatsoever that would make anyone think I would have a stroke. But my stroke is due to a rare cause that is what is known by carotid webbing. And you see, it's 0.62% of people that had it. And that is where I'm like, go figure, right? That would be me, right? Like, of all people. Okay, Sybil. But because of this, I now have a stent here in my right carotid artery, in which hold on, let me give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little choked up. So do one of y'all want to give a shout out to our sponsor? Grace, you wanna take that?
Yes, give a shout out to our sponsor, USAA, who's given us another year of bringing Most Balls Conversations to you, where we get to give you the tea every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern. Thank you, USAA.
Thank you. So they ended up doing a procedure called a thrombectomy, in which they went in through my groin up through to my brain and removed the blood clot. I was in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital for a week. I was in ICU and on the stroke unit. I went through speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. And I will tell y'all it was scary. It was a very scary and humbling moment in my life. Because I remember when I woke up in the hospital, just waking up and being hooked up to machines and tubes, and the nurse or doctor, I don't know, somebody asked me, did I know where I was and why I was there? And I'm like, no, I don't know, other than what they had told me, right? They were like, you're here, you had a stroke. And so I was literally just repeating everything that they were telling me. And I didn't understand. And I always imagined, like, my knowledge of stroke was someone who was old, someone elderly, someone who had high blood pressure, poor diet, drug abuse, high stress. I had none of that. Literally nothing. I was skipping through the sunflower fields, living my best life until April 17th. And, one of the hardest things for me, and this is still hard for me to this day, and it's something that I don't think people really talk about, just in general, but also with stroke, because everyone looks for the physical, right? It's like you have that gait. I call it the stroke gait. You have a slurred speech, you have the facial droop. And the doctors did say that my health contributed to my recovery, and the timing, the response time of my husband and all the party goers that were there. They spotted the stroke right away. And the one thing that I play over and over and over in my mind is, if I was home that night, if we were at home, I would have been in the bed. And to think, my husband would have rolled over and I would have been dead. People ask me, oh, well, what, you had a mini stroke? No, because people think a TIA, but they call it a mini stroke. There is no such thing as a mini stroke. That is, I call that a warning shot. But I had a severe, full-blown ischemic stroke, which is a blood clot. I am doing well, but this is where what I was going to tell you has been the hardest part for me, and that people don't really talk about, is that mental health side of it. Nishita knows this. Grace and Julie, all three of them know this part, because I've talked to all three of them. I remember I used to just talk to Grace and pour my heart out to her. But Grace, she was always, "I'll be praying for you," and I truly appreciate that. And Grace understands me. Coming from the other side of it, and her mother passed away several years ago due to a stroke. Young, your mom was young, and Grace, I will tell you, when you told me that, as I had just poured my heart out to you of how I was feeling, I wanted to avoid you after that, because I felt bad. I felt bad because I was just like, "Oh, Grace," but thank you for for not abandoning me.
We're so happy you're here, Sybil.
And Nishita, and this kind of goes with the mental health side of it. Fortunately and unfortunately, Nishita, I do remember the day that I totally lost it on you. Nishita is a good friend, because I cussed her up one end and down the other. But Nishita knew that wasn't me. Do you remember that, Nishita? Remember when I was but Nishita was just like, "You know what? You're fine. You're fine." And Nishita has told me for 3 years, "You need to sit down. You need to rest. You need to take care of you. You just keep going, 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 going." But that's how I felt. I felt like I had to keep going to keep everyone else comfortable. You have anything to say on that? And yes, Stephanie, clinical depression, and the stroke exasperated. And that was my thing. Like, depression, anxiety, none of that. I never had any issues with that. And now, Nashida, I just had this conversation with her the other day. I was like, "I'm medicated." I stay medicated. Keep myself somewhat level. We're still figuring that out. We're still figuring that out. You have anything?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I would just say that the mental health portion is really important, because often women are caregivers and we react to and respond to our environments, and we feel when other people are uncomfortable. So we will sit in our uncomfortableness so they can be comfortable. And that's not healthy. And sometimes we feel like if we just stop, that everyone will fall apart, but they won't. They'll step up because they have to. But we can't think that in our minds. We just keep going, going, going until you crash. And then you have to do the things that you could have done before, but but it's hard. It's hard. I think it's hard. It's all hard because you want everybody to be happy even when you're unhappy, you know.
Yes. There's some comments coming in from Instagram. Lindsay, how is your mom doing? So Lindsay said that her mother-in-law works at one Riverside. My mom just had a stroke. I leaned into my mother-in-law experience and knowledge. Yes. How is your mom doing, Lindsay? And Julie, I still remember when I got home from the hospital, talking to Julie. I was texting because the doctors, they were like, text, keep your hands moving, keep your brain moving. And I remember the first thing, not the first thing that Julie said to me, but one of the early things that she said to me was, and which I laughed about it, and we laugh about it. She's like, I didn't know if we would talk, if we would continue talking, or what to expect with you. And Julie listens to me every day, still to this day. She listens to me every day. And some days I just ramble on. Her and Nishita, they just listen to me ramble. But y'all are my therapists. Thank y'all. Do you have anything to say, Julie?
Yeah, I mean, it was just really shocking, you know. And I'm trying to remember how I found out, other than I might have read about it on Facebook.
Yeah, my mom. I
'Cause
think
it
my
was
mom did post.
Yeah, it was a Saturday, and on Saturdays, like, we talk, but we don't always talk, you know. It's not weird for us to maybe check in Saturday morning and then not speak again till Sunday night. I mean, that's not weird. And so it wasn't like, where is she? You know, I don't think I went through like that type of thing. I mean, I was like noticing like she hadn't really checked in after her party, but
I didn't get to finish the party.
I mean, it was like one of those
The
things I was on
party.
Facebook and I was like, wait, what? Like, but wait, wait, what? You know, it was really like in shock. And I just didn't know. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't know what you would need, you know? Like, I didn't know, because our relationship was so based on talking to each other every day that it was like, well, how does that work when you don't live near me? Like, it's not like I'm, seeing you once a week or whatever. Like, it's just based on talking, and you're not talking right now. So is that gonna last forever? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to help you. I don't know.
No, I get it. And I will say, when I did, I was texting out because the doctors are like, text, keep your hands moving. You want to keep your brain going. But everything was so slow.
Mhm.
Everything took time, and everything was tiring. I didn't
Right.
realize how much brain power I used on a day-to-day to just do the basic things. Paige, I'm a stroke survivor because I don't have any of the side effects from it. I had so many going on at the time, it never really hit me. I said, yes. And Paige, I get people when I tell them, oh, I had a stroke. They're like, no, you didn't. Oh. And I'm like, do you want to see my medical records? I can show you my medical records. But the stroke, it's the fifth leading cause of death in the US, and it's the leading cause of long-term disability. And I think that's what people look for. They're looking for those visual signs of disability. And that is why I say stroke talks. It's a brain thing, right? It is your brain. And you may not, and I have met a lot of, I won't say a lot, but I've met several stroke warriors. I say war. Y'all, I no longer have my R's. But I've met other stroke warriors that, looking at them and talking to them, you would not know that they had a stroke. So, I tell people it's not always visible. There are things like, for me, we have our segments. We got to do our segments. Let's take a break. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about those residuals and those side effects of a stroke. But before we do that, I want to say to Lindsay, yes, make sure that your mom follows up with the neurologist and did she have a CT or did she have an MRI? But there's also another test. I forgot the name of it, but that is what they did on me. And that's also how they figured out, because my neurosurgeon said he argued with them. I was their topic every day for a week of the cause, which we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But we're going to go ahead and go to our first segment, which is Miss Grace.
How did I know I was going to go first? Okay, oops, sorry. That was loud. Spring cleaning is here, or maybe you already finished. I don't know. But okay, so let me back up. A lot of people used to have the toilet brushes where like you put it in the toilet, then you put it back in the little bucket thing. That's disgusting. I never did that. Sorry if you have one. It's disgusting. Get these. These come in a little container and it has a wand. This is clean, don't worry. And it attaches to here. It attaches to the sponge. You clean it, and then this little button ejects it into the trash. I recommend you do this, but we're not talking about the toilet. This is actually an extra handle that I get because I buy my refills from Costco and it always comes with another handle, and you can use these in more than one ways. You can use this to clean your tub, and it has the handle so you don't have to bend over as much, and you can reach higher places if you have tile. Use it in your tub. You just wet it and then you scrub it. It has the soap inside of it. You can also use it on your tile floors, your linoleum floors in your bathroom around the toilets. You don't have to actually put it in the toilet. You can use it as a scrubber. Then you don't have to have a separate spray cleaner. You just use the sponge, and then when it's done, you just push button and it falls off and you don't ever have to touch it, and it's clean and you're good to go, and you just put it away. So use your extra wand handles for other cleaning adventures, not just your toilet.
I like that. And Grace, I have the little brush with the little bucket.
That's gross. It's gross, y'all. It doesn't come out clean. Just saying. It's gross.
But that's why you're going to go solo.
It's toilet water, Grace. Nobody's drinking it or anything.
Yeah, but you have to think about your particles are sitting inside of your bathroom. When like air vents turn on, if you have air conditioning, there's a vent in your bathroom.
That's why the toilet has
particles. No, but it's on your brush, and your brush is in the thing.
You spray the lid down. You spray the brush down with the Clorox cleanup. Like, come on.
You think everybody's spraying their brushes, Nishida?
You think everybody's changing that little top on the handle? Is that what you think?
Oh yeah. They should be.
You think everybody's throwing that away?
They should be.
They're not. Hey, you can't get away from these bacteria. They're here.
Hey, viewers, do y'all use the brush with the little bucket, or do y'all use the wand? And if you use the wand, how many times do you use the little scrubber before you?
I use that little scrubber too, but I'm just,
I use it one time, one and done. Don't reuse it. That's gross.
Yeah, I use a little scrubber and I throw it away, but I know people don't. I've been to people's houses. I know they don't. Just sitting over there like, hey, I'll be in use next time.
Oh, Lord.
There's nothing wrong with it to me. I don't care. It's your bathroom.
All right, so we're going to go back to what I was talking about. So with the invisible disability, yes, there are. I have no documented disabilities because I've been asked like, oh, how did you get cleared to move to Bahrain? So I'm not under EFMP. Actually, my doctors, their exact words were, as long as your stent holds, you're fine. Wait, what? So What if it doesn't hold? Like, what happens? How will I know if something is wrong? And I have a picture of it, but I can't find it on my computer. I had an extra one, but I misplaced it. But I will find it somewhere and I will show you guys what is inside of my neck. That is keeping that extra piece of skin flat. So let me change this again. So the carotid webbing, and I'm gonna go back, I'm flipping back and forth, just bear with me. Keep up. But carotid webbing, what it is, it's like a little extra layer of artery or skin in my artery. They're not looking for it. Doctors aren't looking for it. And as I said earlier, it's rare. So no one is checking for that. And what they believe happened is on that day, April 17th, it pulled and that clot broke loose and boom. They were like, it may have happened several times before, but the clot just dissolved on its own. And it never made it to my brain. And it's one of those things like, and I have tried to think back for years, like, was there ever a time that I didn't feel well? Was there anything? And there's nothing that I can think of. But I thank God every day for where we were that night and the people who were around me. And so fast forward to now. So some of my stroke, what do I call them? I've said them to y'all before. My stroke.
Strokey.
Strokey. Strokey.
Right.
Julie, you can't say that. No, I'm just kidding. I have my strokies that I used to meet with, but now I've started Stroke Talk. So in addition to Millspots Conversations, I do own Stroke Talks as well, which is a platform for stroke warriors and family members, caregivers, anyone who wants to hear more about strokes, as well as meet virtually and in person. And we get together and we share our stories. Because again, I didn't know anyone who had a stroke, or the people that I did know, they were old. And honestly, most of the support groups that I used to attend, everyone was old. My best friend used to fall asleep during the meetings. He'd be knocked out. I'm looking like, you need to wake up. But, he's like 80-something years old. I'm like, well, I'll just let him sleep. Just let him sleep. But where is Stroke Talk available? So, Lindsay, I have a website, stroketalks.com. So just go to stroketalks.com. Or check it out here at Millspots Conversations. Because for the last 3 years, I have been really struggling with how much I wanted to share about strokes here at Millspots Conversations. And it hits me more and more every day that I need to share it here as well, just to bring that awareness as much as I can to bring that awareness. But so the mental health, sorry, y'all, I'm all over the place. So talking about deficits or the strokey issues, my left side. So my stroke happened to the right side of my brain, which right now they're still watching 3 lesions that's there. But my left side, I have no sensation on my left side, or it's intermittent sensation. And when I say my left side, the conversation starters know this. I've told them this. It's my entire left side of my body, starting at not really my shoulder. It's like right above my elbow down, the entire left side. So yeah, half of that. Sometimes there's no sensation there. My left foot. I used to wear heels all the time. I loved heels. I don't wear heels much now because I don't necessarily have feeling in my left foot. So I trip. I drop things, and Nishita, I'm sure you remember this because I talked to you about it shortly after my stroke because I was upset. Remember, I was upset one day because I was dropping things and I made a post about like, oh my gosh, I just keep dropping things. And, and the response I was getting was, oh, it's no big deal. We all drop things sometimes. We're all clumsy. I was like, no, I drop it because I don't feel it. I do not feel it in my left hand. I wasn't able to drive. So I was on driving restriction for like 3 months, and I begged for the keys. No one would give me the keys, not even my children. You have the drop foot. Oh, you have yes. Sometimes you have to drag your yes, dragging that leg, Stephanie. There are times that I'm walking and my leg feels so heavy. Now, people tell me, oh, you're walking fine, or, oh, you don't have a slur. I feel like I have a slur. I feel like when I talk, I hear a slur, as well as there's always a disconnect when I'm talking. But the conversation starters are like, nah, you sound just fine. I ramble. I've always rambled. But now it's just like there's this extra cloud that's there. Like it always feels like there's a cloud on my head. It's so weird to me. But the mental health side of it, I have talked about this. I did an interview a couple of months ago or a month ago, and it was the first time I think I actually shared this. Actually, no, I think I talked about it a little bit at at Camp Pendleton's event. Just going. Let's just say that before,
It's okay to cry. You can let it out. It's okay.
Shut up, Nishita.
It's okay. It is. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all here for you.
Shut up.
Supporting you. Here you go.
That there was a point, it has gotten better, where there was a constant battle of staying ahead of my mind. If you know what I mean there. Yeah. And you hear about people taking their lives, and you're like, but why? Or they seem so happy, they had so much going for them. But there was a time that I really battled staying 10 steps ahead of my mind. And my husband, because I repeat, I was like, nope, I don't need help. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need any medication. He was like, he told me, we were in San Diego. He told me, he's like, if you don't go, I will take you somewhere else and drop you off and leave you there. And I made an appointment, a couple of appointments actually, immediately. And I went. And I started, it took some work, and I still work. I don't have any of those thoughts anymore. And, it's one of those things where, you can say, oh, well, everybody thinks it, but as long as you don't act up on it. But I will tell y'all, it was getting to a point where I was afraid of myself. It wasn't pretty. And I was very evil. I was just mean to everyone in my family and to my friends. As I told you, Nashida, if Nashida was not my friend, she would have been like, you know what, Sybil, screw you. but she was very patient with me, very patient. All of these ladies have been very patient with me. And I didn't really, conversations was a thing before my stroke, but it was, it's something that I'm just doing. And even being in the military spouse space, I never really wanted to be in this space because I'm different, right? I just walk to my own beat of the drum. But I do believe that on April 17th of 2021, God needed to set me down. He set me down. He's like, look, I have given you your purpose and you are running from it. So now I'm going to make you sit down and you're going to do as I tell you to do. And it's scary. It's scary to talk about stroke again because I don't fit your typical stroke survivor. And then to just be open and honest about all of the behind the scenes of what goes on. Yes, girl, he will sit you down in a heartbeat. And I say this, and I'm gonna let these ladies go if they need to go. I said we're gonna talk 30 minutes, and we still talk. I'm still talking. Do y'all need to go? Y'all good? You need to go. Julie needs to go. Bye, Julie. But I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about sharing your behind the scenes.
Oh, yes. That is the scary part. But it is something that I feel is needed, right? Because you don't know. Like, you don't hear people talking about that, right? You always see the pretty. But I want to share just like the whole recovery, the whole process of walking again, like in the hospital, been stuck in the stairwell, literally stuck in the stairwell. Didn't know what to do. Going up and down steps, like what am I supposed to do? Going to the grocery store. And still, to this day, going out. Like as much as I love to talk, y'all know I like to talk. It's hard for me. I struggle with talking to people, with going out in public. Driving, I still don't really drive. And I have I'm like, but what is, because I'm not thinking about any of it, but I am constantly on 100, constantly. My anxiety is crazy. And I know people are like, but I see you out talking to folks. Y'all just don't know. Y'all do not know. But I am working. I'm like, Sybil, come on, you got to get your life together. Get out there. You know what you need to do the work and do it. But I will end. Oh, actually, we have 2 more segments, but I'm going to share this. Yeah, this little bear right here. This little bear is 46 years old. My granny got me this bear when I was a baby. And my husband brought this bear to the hospital because my husband he was there, but when I was in ICU, so he wasn't able to visit me. The stroke unit, he would visit, but it was also still during COVID, right? COVID time. So he wasn't there all the time. So he brought, the girls sent this bear to the hospital with him. And this bear's for my granny. And my grandmother had passed August of 20. And I'm like, my granny was like, Lord, hey, no. Just scare her. Don't, You bring her, no. Keep her on earth because you bring her here, she's going to talk. It's been quiet. It's been silent. She's just going to talk. She was talking when she had the stroke. She doesn't know how to shut up. No, leave her on earth. Again, I make that joke. Some people have been offended because I made that joke, but it helps me through. And this last time, before we moved to Bahrain and we were in Tennessee, I went to the graveyard and I sat at my granny's grave and had a nice little conversation with her. And I heard, it was funny because I just heard, okay, shut up now, Bootsy. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry. Bad joke. Let's hear how close up. Thank you, Lindsay. I will keep sharing. Ladies, do y'all have anything to say about stroke? Any questions? Does anyone watching, any viewers have any questions, comments? I'm an open book. If you want to know, I will tell you. There's a lot that I have left out, but I'll answer any questions. And like I said, I also have stroke talks, and I will be sharing a lot more, going into more details there and breaking down what carotid webbing is, as well as what the difference of an ischemic stroke and a hemorrhage, and BFAS. Do y'all know what BFAS stands for? Ladies? Grace?
No, I don't remember all the letters. You'll have to tell us, Sybil.
Yeah, tell us.
Be balanced. So if you're out with someone, don't assume that just because someone is stumbling that they're drunk. Again, I was sitting down, but we were also at a Navy event. We were at a military farewell party for my husband. They could have easily thought, oh, she's drunk. Slurred speech. No, but B, you're balanced. E, eyes. Are they focusing on you? Can they focus? Face, F, face. Is there a facial droop? A, arms. If you ask to hold out their arms, can they hold out their arms? And if so, is it drifting? Can they keep them down even? S, speech. Is there a slur? And T is for time. Call 911. See, that's the brain.
Yeah, it's cute.
For help. And a stroke it's the brain. It affects the brain. And I will say this, that I don't know about any other stroke warriors, but based on what I was told, there was no, because when you watch movies, right, you always see it being portrayed as them grabbing their heart. And no. And it can be very subtle. Oh, Paige, you had yeah. So you had a blood vessel bust. You had a hemorrhage, and there's so like. Have y'all ever heard of a dissection? That your artery can split and cause a rupture in the brain.
Mhm.
See, I'm going to talk about all of those. Sorry, Tiana just walked in here. About all those causes that we don't hear about, because most of the time you hear about high blood pressure,
Cholesterol.
heart health,
Yeah.
stress. That's what you hear about. Paige, high blood pressure while giving birth.
Mm.
I want to talk to you over at Stroke Talks. And Miss Stephanie here. So we actually met in person. We had lunch together while I was in San Diego. I figured it was safe because it was 2 strokies. What was she going to do? I mean, I knew where to get her. I knew. Sorry, Stephanie. Bad joke. But every stroke warrior does not look like they've had a stroke. And what does that look like? Don't know.
I also think it's like what you were saying about the perception of it, because a lot of the imagery that we have is really old imagery, and like so much medical advancements have been made in all areas of science and medicine, and so it's a lot easier to treat the outcomes. Even if you can't treat the mental outcome, they can treat a lot of the physical outcomes, and it can lead to a perception of normality when it is normal for you. It's just a new normal, but other people don't know that. And we depend on a lot of like imagery from the past, and like you said, movies or just the small documentaries we've seen, or the public awareness campaigns that have been led for that for strokes and heart attacks and things like that. And there's not enough current, I believe, information and like campaigns to talk about the how people are dealing with them now, and that a lot of younger people in their 40s are getting, are having strokes. And what does that look like? I think that the public discourse is really stuck, maybe 20 or 30 years behind our current situation. That's what I think too.
Yeah, and that is so true, because most people that I have met and I say, yeah, I had a stroke, their first response is, you don't look like you had a stroke. Oh, well, or they're like, oh, well, I mean, if you had a stroke, then I guess I had a stroke too. And I'm like, what?
That's crazy. That's wild.
What did you say? But yeah, the technology has changed, or has improved, but there is still this debate, lack of knowledge of carotid webbing, which again, I thank God every day that the surgeons that I had was like, no, because they checked my heart, cholesterol, blood pressure, everything. They did all the checks. It was like, no, none of this. She's perfectly healthy. And they did a full body scan, and he caught the carotid webbing. In which he asked my husband, and my husband, like, and I had to go back. And then, Nishita, you already know this part, but I'm gonna share this part. The saga didn't end after Being released from the hospital for the stroke, I had to go back in the hospital to have the stent placed. It was supposed to have been a day procedure. In, spend a few hours and out. No. I had to stay a week. Why? They couldn't stabilize my blood pressure. It just, hey. But it's all good. It's all good now. But, you know, this is probably going to sound crazy, but I am thankful that the blood clot medication did not work. Because if it would have worked, they would have said, oh, okay, you're discharged, go home. And as the surgeon, when he talked to me about getting the stent, he said, as I was like, oh, okay, which my husband had already signed the paperwork and we were going to do it. He said, if you don't have this done, you will stroke out. And I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, I'll be here. Because he was like, it will happen again. When it will happen, we don't know, but it will happen again. And being at a hospital that had the medical team, that had the training and had the proper equipment, because all hospitals don't have that equipment, and all hospitals, and I read an article about this. I was the youngest on the floor. There were folks my age or younger on the stroke floor. Yeah, Stephanie, how many strokes have you had, girl? Oh, Lindsay, her great-grandmother had strokes that had surgery on both sides of her neck. She recovered, died on the 4th heart attack dancing. Oh. She was not to minimize this at all, but she was dancing. She was living life. She was enjoying life. Not to say that that's, I know what I'm trying to say, but it's not coming out right, Lindsay. Because one of the things that the doctors told me, they were like, live. Don't let this stop you from living and enjoying life. And so, Lindsay, it sounds like your grandmother, your great-grandmother, she was still living life and loving life. You've had 9 strokes, Stephanie.
Wow.
Yes, she never quit life. And that's, Lindsay, that's the thing too. And, another reason I started Stroke Talks is and as I shared earlier, it is so easy to just ball up and curl up in your own sorrow. It is because things are different. And as you were saying, like other people they may not see any difference in you, but things are different. Like things are still different for me. I'll tell people, oh yeah, going to the store, to the grocery store, and I'm tired. Oh, I'm like, but no, that is not my norm. Me going to the store, that used to be just getting it started, getting the day started. Whereas now I'm like, y'all. And, it's like, well, and, I've had people say, well, you are getting older. I was 43 when I had my stroke. I am now 46. But I'm like, all of this started happening after my stroke. So I'm like, are you telling me that, oh, boom, old age kicked in for you after your stroke? And these are questions that I still have to this day. Like everything, I have questions.
I feel like I don't feel like it is that we do not account for all of the bodily functions that we are performing, that we do not actively perform. like our body is doing it. And you know, once you learn a task, you know, usually it's up here you're learning, and then it gets pushed to the back, and your body, your brain, your mind, well, your brain and all of its functions, your nervous system, everything's kind of doing things for you that you don't really realize. And then when something traumatic like this happens, it just kind of resets you. You start thinking more about, like, say if you were driving, when you drive, you can make it all the way like past 3 stops lights sometimes and not even really realize that you're actively driving, because your activity is in the back of your mind. It's subconscious. So it's like, okay, we need to push the brake, we need to do this, but your mind could be 500 miles away. And when something traumatic like this happens, it brings all those functions back to like square one when you were first learning to drive, and you're like, oh, is that car is over there? That car is over here. What are they doing over there? It's like all these things that you haven't experienced in like probably decades. It's like is forefront in your mind. It could be very anxiety inducing, you know, to have
Yes.
all these new requirements that you feel like you have to control all these things, and something just happened to you that was so out of control that I think can just be hard. Um, and that people see you, and they see you for like 10 minutes, or maybe they might see you for a few hours, but they don't see you every day. They're not with you all of your while you're living through all the things that you're going through. You're trying to adapt, you know, readapt, you're trying to relearn things, and the people might see you for a few hours, a few minutes, and think, oh, you look fine. Like there's nothing wrong, but they're not there with you through the work, all the work that's going on, you know?
Yes.
And I would like to ask the guest, like, does she have a condition that causes her to have a stroke, or have they all just been random? And
Stephanie.
for Lindsay's grandma, like, may she rest in peace. But I'm glad she did live her life, because some people don't get to do that. They become incapacitated. So I think that
Yes.
I'm happy for that, but I'm very sad for your loss.
So hold on. Stephanie, she was talking when she said things, yes, so much effort now, including reading, talking, right? Like everything. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. You had to retake the driving test, Stephanie? And you hit the nail on the head right there. And then Pamela, I have a friend that had a stroke, and now she has had too many strokes. She feels like her doctor is not helping her much because she is in her 80s. And that
I cannot talk to people enough about how the safety nets that are in place in our society for people over 80, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea until you start dealing with the system, the medical system. They have all these safeguards in place to protect themselves and to like protect the patient. But when you turn about 80, your whole like autonomy, they start to chip away at it, because they don't believe. A lot of times, if, like, for instance, not to change the subject to a different condition, but say you present with a UTI as an 80-year-old, and it's an advanced UTI, because what I learned is that urinary function and bowel function as you age is diminished because of muscle loss in these areas. And then when you lose the muscle and you also lose sensation, you don't always know you have a UTI, urinary tract infection. And as it advances, it can cause delirium, symptoms that look like dementia, things like this, aphasia, different things like that, right? So when you get into the hospital and you're disoriented, all of a sudden you can't make decisions for yourself. And then also they start to say, well, you know, they're calculating against you. Oh, you had a stroke, or you had this, you're over 80. So you know, mentally the gymnastics is, oh, you only have like 15 to 20 years left, if that, you know. And so they start discounting your life. I feel like they do that. I've had to deal with 2 different elderly family members in the system, And it's just wild in there how if you're over a certain age or under a certain age, like it seems like if you're in your 40s and you have a stroke, there are people now having strokes in their 20s. So
There are kids having strokes.
Right. So you have this stroke, and maybe it just hasn't been documented as much, historically, but now it's really being documented. You can see it happening, and oh, you'll be fine. You're young, but really, or if you're older, oh, well, you're older, so you gonna how many years you have left? They won't say that outright, but this is just stuff they'll put in your charts and stuff. What did that say?
Yes.
Men with prostate cancer, they won't operate on them if they're in their 80s, of a certain age, like 85 or something like that.
And I will say this, you have to advocate for yourself. I've met other stroke warriors who said they have never had a follow-up MRI. Before I left Virginia, so I ended up back in the hospital twice after my stroke. Well, even after the stent, I ended up twice. But I kept that under wraps. I didn't really tell anybody that I was back in the hospital. And they did MRIs each time. And I actually have an MRI every year. And then an ultrasound of my neck every 6 months. Now that was from my doctors in Virginia. When we got to San Diego, because my husband, we were about to PCS, so my husband, they pushed the dates back a little bit, and we all left together in July, going to San Diego. I wanted to move. I was like, no, we're going to move. Like, I want to keep things as normal as possible. And when we got to San Diego, I said, hey, I need to have an MRI and my stent checked. MRI once a year and my stent checked every 6 months. Even here in Bahrain, the doctor that I'm seeing here, she's like, oh, it's time to schedule your MRI and your stent scan. And I was like, oh, we can wait. She's like, no, we're not. I'm like, okay. Just want to wait. Stephanie said she had a blood test show her platelet count is high. All the blood tests I have taken in the last almost 4 years. You stay on top of those doctors, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Stay on top of those doctors. Hey, you were 24. Did you see her comment?
Mm-mm.
She said she was 24 when she had her stroke. Okay, we have, Nikita, you want to do your segment?
Oh, no, I could do it next time.
Okay, well, I'm going to do my segment. Military Spouse News Minute. So, military spouse news. You know that if you have TRICARE for life, it goes with you. So if you travel overseas, you can be seen. So let me read it for you. Your TRICARE for life travels with you. Whether you're living abroad or just visiting, it's important to understand how your coverage works. Michael Griffin from the TRICARE Overseas program reminds us that knowing your, look, let me put myself in solo screen. There. Michael Griffin from the TRICARE Overseas program reminds us that knowing your care options and how to manage claims is key to avoiding unexpected costs. Because you don't want to be traveling and then you don't know what you qualify for, and then you end up being billed. Okay. If you need medical care, you can visit military facilities, local civilian providers, or even get care through the International SOS Network. Always ask for an itemized bill and keep your receipts for any payments you make. Okay? Keep those receipts. You need prescriptions? No problem. Fill them at military pharmacies or through TRICARE Pharmacy home delivery where available. If you use a non-network overseas pharmacy, remember you'll pay up front, but you can file that claim with International SOS for reimbursement. And speaking of claims, don't forget to submit them with proof of payment within 3 years. That magic number, 3. 3 years of your service date. Stay informed and be prepared by checking out the TRICARE for Life handbook and the handy TRICARE for Life matrix online. But I also will have something for you over at milspouseconversations.com that you can check out and get all of the good OT about TRICARE for Life when you are traveling abroad. All right, folks. Nashida, I'm trying to bring you back. There you are. All right. That is it for tonight. I will say thank you guys for joining us tonight and allowing me to share a little bit of my story with you. Like I said before, I am doing a whole different platform over at stroketalks.com. It is on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well. So you can check me out there. But I am going to begin sharing more of my stroke journey to bring stroke awareness here at MilSpouse Conversations as well. Right, Nashida? You're going to keep me focused to do that.
Yeah. And I thank you to everyone who shared their story. I appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Hold on. There we go. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us. We are here every single Wednesday. Every Wednesday. 12 noon. We'll be here for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Depends on how much you want to talk. But hey, yo, we are having a virtual event on the 25th. It will be at 12 noon. It will be via Zoom, so you can come behind the scenes and chat with us and just get to know the conversation starters. Talk with us about anything you want to talk about. We here. We like to talk. Tell your friends about us. Like, share, smash that subscribe. I just had to say that. Smash.
No problem. I love to hear it. I love to hear everyone's stories. And for everyone to be able to share their experience, I think is really important because we often don't get to share. And sometimes we're sharing and the people we're talking to aren't really listening, if that makes sense to me. They're kind of like, yes, you talked to me about this 1,000 times, but you still want to talk about it because it's still in there. And you're like, it's me. I don't want to talk about it. And, sometimes it's just like, when you can find people who are willing to share, I feel like it's a blessing to be able to listen. So I love to listen to people. And we learn a lot from each other, I think.
We really do.
I learned a lot from the guests today, our lovely guest audience. We learned a lot. I feel like I learned a lot anyways from everyone. And Sybil. I'm always learning from Sybil. I'm like her tiny punching bag sometimes. But
But thank you. Thank you. I still remember that day. I was sitting in the school parking lot. Girl, I think I just had a full breakdown that day. I don't know what was going on. But that is what MilSpouse Conversations is about. That's what our virtual events are about that we have every month, as well as our in-person events. It's about coming to the table and having conversation. We want to talk at you. Like during the show, yes, there are, it's hard because I'm trying to produce and host, right? So I'm like, okay. Sometimes I miss things. But Nishita is always going to make sure she catches things that I miss. But during our events, like our virtual events, we want you to talk.
Yeah.
It is, we'll present the topic and then it is open forum. We're not here to talk at you. We're here to talk with you, to listen to you. I talk a lot, but I also listen and care. I care about you. We care about you. As MilSpots Conversations, we care. We care. I know people are like, I care. No, but we care. For real. All right. Thank you, folks. Have a good night. And thank you, USAA, as well as our Buy Me a Coffee supporters, Pamela R., Addie W., and Angela B. And thank you to our resource sponsor, Make Me Awesome. All right, folks, I'm trying to find my outro.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good
See
day.
you next time.
Bye.
They do need to they have refrigerators.
Okay, all right.
It makes the tubs not fit, the tub lids not fit on them. The thing. So this year I